welcome back to the channel. As most of you know, I'm Topher. And for those of you who don't know and just randomly decided to click on the video, welcome to the channel. I'm Topher. Thank you for stopping by. So we're here to do a reaction, and we're diving back into Miracle of Teddy Bear. We're diving into episode 6. Yeah, last episode was probably, like I said in my Topher Thoughts section, probably the least traumatic episode for my feelings, at least. I feel like every episode they take me on an emotional roller coaster where it's lots of lows, lots of highs, lots of feelings all around. And this one, there were still a lot of things that happened. We got a lot of great information, some background, some flashbacks. We found out that who we thought was Nut's first love may not have been this whole time. It may have been his first crush, the first guy that got his attention, but then there's this other guy who we're starting to get into flashbacks who might be the important person who gave him tofu. We don't know yet, but it's like, oh. But yeah, it wasn't as emotionally devastating. There weren't quite as many intense emotional moments. I'm like, okay, my feelings, thank you for the reprieve. I thank you for the little bit of break. I don't know how long this break is going to go for. So we're just going to dive into this episode and hope that I'm not an emotional wreck by the end of it. So let's just dive on in. Lord, we were so close to making it through the entire episode without any like major conflict. Yes, we had a little bit with Sen and Jan and the police officers doing their investigation. It was very drama light. It was a diet drama episode. Everything else was so sweet and romantic, and this blossoming relationship between Tofu and Nut, and then Gen and Song, and Gen's parents, and like there was all of this just super duper adorable, great positive just relationship building happening, and I love to see it happen. And I was like a schoolgirl, and giddy as a schoolgirl so many times throughout this episode, and it just reminds me of so many of some of my favorite episodes of various series that just have me just smiling like an idiot the entire time because it is just so precious, so adorable, and I love to see just the growth in these characters. So I thought for a minute we were gonna make it through the episode and we're gonna coast. We had a little bit of like slight diet, you know, drama, and the rest of the episode we were just gonna coast. It was gonna be this nice romantic moment, and we had the first kiss, which at this point we're in episode 6. Each episode's like an hour and a half long, so that's 9 hours. So in any other series we're like 9 episodes in. All right, so we're already almost done with the season as far as any other series would go. So we've earned this first kiss between the two of them, and I was like, yes, it's beautiful, it's sweet. Tofu initiated, and Nut was just there kind of stunned, and then Nut's like, you are such a kid, and then he pulls him, and I'm like, yes, y'all better have this kiss, we're going around the world, and then we have the music, and I'm like, oh, it is romantic, it is beautiful, I'm living, I'm loving. And then Tofu talked. He talked and he said things, and as soon as he said things, I didn't know the relevance to it, but I knew that it meant something. I knew it meant something. And then Nut had that reaction. I'm like, okay, we're triggering something, because even though the music hasn't like completely changed yet, whatever this reaction Nut is having, it is not a good one. It is not going to be good. We are triggering some core memory in Nut right now, where someone special said this to him. Someone said this to him at some point, and he does not have good feelings tied to. He might. My brain wants to go so many different places. Like he might still have good feelings tied to that person who said it, maybe, potentially, but the way things ended with that person, he does not associate a good feeling with. So hearing those words triggers not a good feeling in him. So we saw there that he lost it. He lost it. And he's lost it a number of times in this series. I've said it many times, he really should talk to somebody. He really should seek help from a therapist or something to help manage his anger, because it just flares up and explodes. at the drop of a hat. It's happened far too many times in this series. Especially this episode, like there's so many times where like he just sees Tofu with somebody, especially now that he's like, okay, fine, let's do it, let's try, let's go on a date. It's like, okay, well, I'll try with you. And you know, he's letting himself feel his feelings. He's gotten the encouragement from Gen, and he's like, okay, I'm going to try and pursue Tofu. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Now that he's letting himself feel his feelings, he's kind of jealous and possessive, which, you know, is not uncommon. I'm not gonna say that, oh, I'm not jealous or anything, like, but you know, when it comes to someone that I'm already in a relationship with, I may get that way, territorial, but we're not quite in a relationship yet. We just decided to go on a first, maybe even a second date, and you know, start feeling some feelings. So we're not quite in a relationship yet. Boundaries haven't been quite, but you know, he's jealous. He gets jealous when he sees some of them. I get it, but we gotta find ways to manage our jealousy. We gotta find better ways than screaming and angrily storming off and grabbing Tofu by the arm, or you know, whatever it is. Like we gotta find other ways to deal with our jealousy, baby. But yes, whatever. I'm gonna assume it's the same. And I need to go back and watch the last episode to make sure that I'm spinning this narrative in my head correctly. Because right now in my head, boy in the coma is Nut's first love, the one that we saw pop up in flashbacks last episode, where yes, Nut's first crush was on the guy who looked like Tofu, but then the guy who was actually treating him nicely, and we were seeing them like really close face to face in a couple little flashback scenes, was this other guy, who I keep saying is the guy in the coma, and I think it is. It may not be, and I might just be making stuff up. But I believe that's guy in the coma who is Jan's nephew, which would make him some sort of distant off cousin or whatever. And then we've got Prib, who's his not real sister, but sister in, you know, a very friendly sense. Which I was like, okay, if she's an actual sister, that's gonna make this terribly complicated. But yes, I'm assuming it's something that he said at some point after some kiss took place, because that, I don't imagine that's something you say to somebody just on a random ass Tuesday without any smooches. I feel like that you would have had to have felt or tasted the lips of a person to make that assessment about the feel and the taste of their lips. So I'm assuming that's something that he may have said, and it was probably something romantic. It was probably super cheesy and romantic, and you know, in the moment Nut loved it and it just made him blush. But since he's got these negative feelings tied to either that person or just the scenario, what happened with their romance, those words are terribly triggering for him, and it sent him into a rage. And he's like, who are you, who sent you? The fact that he is so shook to his core by these words that he thinks that somebody out there in the world sent some spy into his home to play some mind games with him. For what reason? I don't fucking know. Because like, it's not like Nut is like some sort of FBI agent or some super well-off to do this, that, and the other. Like, it's he's a writer. He's a writer. He's writing these screenplays for this TV series, and that's great. I'm not taking anything away from writers, but it's like he's not exactly what I would consider a prime target for like a big overarching conspiracy to like send an undercover agent to like fuck with your mind or something like that, or you know, get information. Like, what information do you have that someone is trying to get, like, you know? So the fact that Nut was so triggered by these words that he's out here thinking somebody sent him to mess with his head or this, that, or fine, like that speaks volumes about how much of a sore subject this person is for Nut. Oh god, oh, I don't even know where next episode's gonna take us. But let's see what else happened in this episode. Like I said, we had lots of nice relationship building moments. Gen and Song are adorable. I love them. And again, Gen's parents are the MVPs of this series. We love a good supportive parent in these series. Again, has two of them, both of them out here just trying to get laid. Like they remind me of my mama. Anytime she is, whether I'm over at her house or she's staying at my house, literally anytime I walk out the door, she's like, "Okay, don't come back unless you get laid. You're not allowed to come back unless you get laid." So I come back anyway, in spite of not getting laid. But just the nature of our relationship. Just very, we have just very open, honest conversations. Very supportive, love her to death. But it reminds me very much of Gen and his parents, where it's like, they don't care. They're not embarrassed by their grown son having relations, or they want to see him in relations, they want to see him happy, they want to see him this, that, the other. And Papa's out here playing wingman, like, yeah, I'm the one who accepted the friend request for him because his ass was being too stubborn. He looked much better in person, and it's cute, it's adorable. I love to see it. So yeah, lots of great relationship moments between them. The whole first date with Tofu and Nut was adorable, and I liked the, even though I was yelling at Nut like, "Hey, maybe no, don't, let's not play in the rain. You're gonna get sick," and then he ends up getting sick. Who could have called that? But even though I was like telling him like, "No, don't do that," I do appreciate that Tofu. I mean, I don't even think it was him like just being naive about playing in the rain or anything like that. I do appreciate him just, again, having this optimistic view on the world and having that just rub off on Nut just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because Nut being very logical, like me, like, "Oh, we gotta find somewhere to hide. We gotta, take shelter. We're gonna get sick, blah, blah, blah. We should be playing in the rain." And Tofu's just like, "Hey, it's just like in the shower. Why don't we just enjoy this? Enjoy this moment. Live in this moment. Enjoy this moment." And then that's what they did. Got off the bike and they just twirled and played in the rain. And sometimes it's nice just to enjoy the moments that life brings you without thinking about what's the logical thing to do, what's the smart thing to do, what's the intelligent, what should I be doing versus what just sounds like fun. What sounds like fun in this moment. Sometimes it's just fun to just grab life by the balls and just go dance in the rain. So I like that Tofu was able to instigate that moment for them. And then he ended up getting sick, catching a fever. He was like, "Oh, I feel so hot. Is this what love is? Oh my god, love is hot." And then he goes to bed, and Nut comes in and is like, "Oh, damn, baby. Oh, Lord, you got a fever. Let me take care, let me sponge you." And I like that the sponge bath and the caretaking, with the exception of the last little bit where he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna cuddle you from behind naked." Aside from that, everything else about the whole sponge bath and caretaking, I was in here thinking like, it's nice to see this coming from a place of just like care and concern, and not like, okay, we're trying to frame this as this big romantic thing. 'Cause I feel like sometimes I've seen in a number of series or movies in general where like, okay, we're encountering the same sort of circumstance, or one of them is sick, and like, okay, I'm going to take care of them, and then me taking care of them leads to this big romantic something or another, and I'm like, nah, I don't always gotta be that. Sometimes when you're sick, you just want to, or sometimes when someone's sick, you just want to take care of them because you care about them, not because you're trying to get in their pants or you're trying to romance them or sway them, this, that, and the other. So I like that for the most part. It was just, hey, he is sick. I do have some sort of feelings for him, but I'm not doing this because I have feelings for him. I'm doing this because I care about him and I want him to be healthy. I don't want to see him sick. Then the choice to just get butt ass naked and cuddle him because he was cold happened. I'm like, okay, that was a choice. If I were Tofu, I too would feel better having that option. I, silly me, would have just put a shirt on Tofu or put a blanket on him or something, but okay, that works too. Let's see, what else? We had a little bit of the investigation, some more interaction with Jan and Sen. And then Jan's going through. Everyone's going through it. Na was going through it. Obviously, Tofu's still drugging her, which I did feel some type of way about. I understand why he's doing it, but it just feels like that's another thing that's going to blow up in our faces in the coming episodes because we don't like secrets. Secrets are not good. Especially when you've got someone like Nut who is liable to blow up at the slightest inconvenience. But yeah, Na is going through it. She's There's certain just things that are starting to trigger different memories in her, and it's it's almost kind of forcing her to have to face reality in a sense. Like she's still kind of withdrawn and in her little safe space, little safe world she's invented in her head, but there's certain things like the book dropping in the or seeing the blanket and then getting the flashback to Sib, I guess, burning the blanket for whatever reason. Um, and then when she was outside and she was looking at the book and the little prince, and then she started looking at the light and getting the flashback when she fell, and then there were just things there, little inconsistencies, little things popping up where it's like, okay, she's starting to kind of have to face it. And then of course Jan getting all up in her face like, you're crazy, you left him for blah blah blah, why don't you just blah? And I'm like, Jan, I get where Jan is coming from because Jan is going through it too. She's been in this marriage for 20 years to a man who clearly does not want a thing to do with her, does not want to be in this marriage, but wants to be with this woman. And it's like, okay, why did you marry me in the first place? And then she's being difficult. She doesn't want to let him go. She's like, I'm not going to divorce you, this, that, the other. Like, it's a whole messy web. And I'm sure she's just got lots of feelings in her that have just been put through the ringer. And it's like, I don't think the explosion necessarily was meant for Na, but everything just built up at that point, and Na was there. And yes, Na had something to do with all of those feelings. She won't say that she's directly responsible because she can't help how Sen feels. She's been out here, like, she hasn't done anything with Sen, I don't think. Jan's out here accusing Sen of cheating, this, that, the other, but I don't think that they actually have done anything. So it's just Jan's got lots of feelings. So yeah, there's lots of feelings, and Na is going through it. And I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen with her fractured mental state. I don't know. What else? Kind of scrubbing through the episode. Yeah, I guess that was the majority of it. And girl, did I call it or did I call it? As soon as I saw that fine ass man in green at the movie theater, eyeballing him up and down, I'm like, okay, we focused on this guy a little too long for him just to be a passing whatever. So I feel like he's going to come back. He may not be like a super prominent character, but he's going to come back in some way, some shape, some form. And then as soon as Tofu or Nut's like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, you stay right here, I'm like, Mr. Green is coming. He's coming. Somehow, some way, he is coming, and he is gonna flirt with Tofu, and Nut is gonna be jealous as all hell. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. They didn't break into fisticuffs like I thought they were going to, because again, Nut is liable to fly off the handle. So we didn't go nearly as explosive as I thought, but still, I called it. Yeah. All in all, it was a great episode. It kind of just flew by, honestly. Sometimes with these episodes, especially since I know that they're like an hour and a half long each, I kind of get to like the third point or the halfway point. I'm like, okay, how much longer do I have? Not that I'm not enjoying myself, but I find myself thinking about, okay, I've got this much longer, or blah blah blah. Where this one I just kind of just breeze through. I'm like, oh, okay, episode's done now. Yeah, very, very enjoyable. Thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think I've only been rambling Topher's thoughts for like 20 minutes, so I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. I'm going to stop talking. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on notifications to be notified when all of my shenanigans get posted. If there's anything else you'd like me to react to, be sure to leave it down in the comments. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, you're more than welcome to join us over on Patreon. You don't have to, but you're more than welcome to if you want to. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Love ya. Mwah.